The relentless New Mexico sun beat down on the corrugated tin roof of Elias Vance's remote ranch, a perpetual reminder of the desolate beauty and crushing isolation he now embraced. Once a sharp, ambitious Air Force intelligence officer, Elias had retreated to this arid landscape, a self-imposed exile, his mind a battlefield of fragmented memories and gnawing guilt. The ghost of Project Mogul, a clandestine operation from decades past, clung to him like the desert dust, whispering of truths deliberately obscured, of a profound injustice that had festered within his soul for far too long. He yearned for clarity, for a final reckoning, his very existence defined by this relentless, consuming quest. His daughter Clara, a beacon of modern pragmatism in his antiquated world, saw only a man consumed, his obsession driving a wedge between them that widened with each passing silent year. She believed his relentless pursuit of a decades-old enigma was slowly, inexorably, destroying him. The catalyst for Elias's renewed fervor arrived not with a bang, but with a barely audible whisper. A call from a distant hospital, a deathbed plea from a former colleague, an elderly man whose eyes, even over the crackling phone line, conveyed a lifetime of unspoken burdens. Elias, the voice had rasped, barely audible. The file, it's hidden. Mogul was more than weather. They lied, Elias. All of them. The confession was a torrent of guilt, a dam finally breaking, revealing a hidden file, its contents hinting at a deliberate cover-up far more sinister, more intricate than Elias had ever dared to imagine. Cryptic references to payloads beyond weather echoed in his mind, igniting a spark that had long smoldered, threatening to consume him entirely. Driven by this fresh revelation, Elias plunged back into his past. His ranch house, once a sanctuary, transformed into a war room. Old documents, meticulously organized maps, and his own suppressed memories became his weapons. He spread them across the worn wooden table, tracing lines of forgotten operations, scrutinizing faded photographs. The call had stripped away the layers of doubt, replacing them with an unwavering conviction. He revisited the crash site, a nondescript stretch of desert now, indistinguishable from 1,000 other barren acres. Yet to Elias, it pulsed with a silent, terrible energy. The wind howled through the sparse brush, carrying with it the echoes of a past he was determined to unearth. He encountered the familiar local skepticism, the wary glances of townsfolk who remembered the initial incident, the sudden influx of military personnel, and the subsequent uncomfortable silence. They remembered, but they didn't want to talk. As Elias delved deeper, an unsettling awareness began to creep in. He felt watched, a prickling sensation on his skin, a subtle shift in the air. A dark sedan parked a little too long down the road, a shadow moving too quickly at the edge of his property. The unease solidified into certainty when an anonymous, crudely typed message appeared in his mailbox, slipped silently past the postal service. Its stark warning, "Drop it, Vance, or suffer the consequences," only served to harden his resolve. This wasn't just a cover-up, it was an active suppression, confirming his suspicions of a powerful, unseen entity determined to silence him. Clara, visiting from the city, immediately sensed the shift in her father. The old obsession, long dormant, had reignited, burning brighter than ever. She confronted him, her voice laced with a mixture of fear and exasperation. "Dad, this is going to destroy you. And us," she pleaded, her eyes reflecting the genuine terror she felt for his mental state and their safety. But Elias, now fully consumed, dismissed her concerns, his focus unwavering, further alienating the only family he had left. The hidden file, his new compass, pointed him towards a retired scientist, Dr. Eris Thorne, a name peripherally linked to Project Mogul. Elias, heart pounding with a mixture of hope and trepidation, drove to Thorne's isolated desert home. The front door hung ajar, a chilling emptiness permeating the air. The house was ransacked, furniture overturned, papers scattered like fallen leaves. Dr. Eris Thorne was gone. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The sight of Dr. Thorne's ransacked home, a silent testament to unseen forces, finally pierced Elias's hardened shell of self-reliance. He understood then that this wasn't a solitary crusade. It was a deeply perilous undertaking. Reluctantly, he called Clara, the desperation in his voice a stark contrast to his usual stoicism. She arrived, her face etched with a familiar worry, yet also a flicker of something new, a reluctant understanding of the gravity of the situation. Their relationship, long strained by Elias's singular obsession, began to shift. Clara, a brilliant digital forensics expert, initially viewed her father's theories with a healthy skepticism, but the undeniable evidence of manipulation within old government databases, which Elias had painstakingly collected, slowly chipped away at her doubts. Together, they formed an unlikely alliance, their shared goal of uncovering the truth beginning to bridge the chasm that had separated them for so long. Clara's expertise proved invaluable. She delved into encrypted files, traced obscure digital footprints, and cross-referenced fragmented data with an almost surgical precision. What they uncovered sent a chill down Elias's spine, confirming his deepest fears. They found references to a clandestine organization, operating like a phantom limb within the government, known only as the Watchers. Their motivation was chillingly simple: to control advanced technology and suppress any information that could destabilize their carefully constructed edifice of power. This shadowy entity was led by a ruthless individual, Director Thorne, a man driven by a twisted sense of national security. Elias realized with a jolt of recognition that this was Dr. Aris Thorne's estranged son, a man who believed the world needed protection from its own capacity for panic, even if that meant burying profound truths. It was Clara who first deciphered the faint, almost imperceptible digital breadcrumbs left behind by Dr. Aris Thorne. He had been held captive by his own son, a cruel irony, but in his desperation, had managed to leave a coded message, a digital whisper in the vast ocean of government data. The message, when finally decoded by Clara, was a seismic revelation. Project Mogul, the seemingly innocuous weather balloon program, was merely a sophisticated front. Its true purpose, the message explained, was the retrieval and reverse engineering of extraterrestrial technology. The payloads beyond weather were not instruments. They were fragments of something not of this world. The implications were staggering, confirming Elias's wildest suspicions and validating his decades-long pursuit. But the revelation came at a cost. By accessing this information, they had triggered an alarm. Elias and Clara were no longer just investigators. They were actively hunted, marked by the Watchers as threats to be neutralized. Suddenly, the desolate beauty of the New Mexico desert transformed into a dangerous hunting ground. A high-stakes chase began, their old pickup truck an unlikely vessel against the sleek black SUVs that materialized seemingly from nowhere. Close calls became routine, near captures a terrifyingly common occurrence. They navigated winding dirt roads, hid in abandoned shacks, and raced against the setting sun, their breaths ragged, their nerves frayed. The desert, once Elias's sanctuary, now felt like a vast, open trap. Yet amidst the terror, a strange bond solidified between father and daughter, forged in the crucible of shared danger. The coded message, further analyzed by Clara, also contained coordinates, a final desperate clue from Dr. Aris Thorne. It led them to a remote, unassuming desert outpost, a decaying structure that seemed utterly insignificant. But beneath it lay a secret, a long-abandoned, deep underground military facility. This was the true operational base for the advanced aspects of Project Mogul, a labyrinthine complex built to house secrets far too profound for the surface world. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of dust and forgotten history. They found evidence of experiments, classified documents meticulously preserved in hermetically sealed containers, and unsettling artifacts that defied any earthly classification. The truth was not just being revealed, it was overwhelming. Then a chilling discovery. Among the meticulously categorized documents, Elias found his own service records, detailed reports from his younger days in the Air Force. He saw his signature, his handwriting, on reports detailing the categorization and concealment of non-human biological samples and unidentified material composites. A memory, long suppressed, clawed its way to the surface. A horrifying realization that his own role in the cover-up was far more significant than he had ever remembered. He had been instrumental in categorizing and concealing the non-human aspects of the crash, a profound betrayal of his own moral compass, a memory deliberately erased by the watcher's psychological conditioning. The guilt, fresh and sharp, was almost unbearable. Before he could fully process the devastating personal revelation, heavy footsteps echoed down the metallic corridor. Director Thorne and his elite operatives emerged from the shadows, weapons raised, their faces grim. Elias and Clara were cornered, deep within the hidden facility with no apparent escape. So the prodigal son returns, along with his misguided daughter. Director Thorne sneered, his voice echoing in the cold metallic corridor. His eyes, devoid of any familial warmth, locked onto Elias, then Clara. You've meddled in affairs beyond your comprehension, Elias. My father, in his senility, believes the world is ready for truths it cannot handle. I merely ensure order, protect humanity from itself. He gestured to the armed operatives flanking him. This facility, this entire operation exists to prevent global panic, to maintain stability. You are a threat to that stability, and threats are eliminated. A wave of despair threatened to engulf Elias. He had come so far only to be trapped. But then, he felt Clara's hand subtly squeeze his arm. Her eyes, usually filled with a youthful innocence, now burned with a fierce determination. While Director Thorne was preoccupied with his self-righteous monologue, Clara's fingers danced across a hidden wrist-mounted device. A faint, almost imperceptible hum filled the air, followed by a sudden flicker in the overhead lights. A moment later, a high-pitched alarm blared through the facility, then cut off abruptly. What was that? Thorne barked, his calm facade cracking. Clara's diversion was brilliantly executed. The facility's security systems for a crucial few seconds went haywire. Elias, galvanized by his daughter's quick thinking and the raw surge of guilt and a burning desire for redemption, lunged forward. He moved with a speed that belied his years, a phantom of his former military training resurfacing. The first operative, caught off guard, stumbled as Elias disarmed him, the metallic clang of the weapon hitting the floor a stark punctuation mark in the sudden chaos. A desperate, brutal struggle ensued. Elias, fueled by the weight of suppressed memories and the desperate need to protect Clara, fought with a ferocity he hadn't known he still possessed. He moved with a primal instinct, deflecting blows, twisting limbs, his mind a blur of tactical maneuvers. Clara, far from being a passive observer, used her intellect and agility. She dodged operatives, tripping them with well-placed obstacles, and even utilized her digital device to create localized electromagnetic pulses, momentarily incapacitating the more technologically advanced weapons. Their renewed bond, forged in the crucible of shared danger, was palpable, a silent language of trust and coordination. Amidst the melee, Elias spotted a figure huddled in a corner, bound and gagged, Dr. Eris Thorne. With a surge of adrenaline, he fought his way towards the elderly scientist. As he cut Dr. Thorne free, the old man, though weakened, had a spark of defiance in his eyes. The broadcast, the hidden system, he croaked, pointing to a nondescript panel on the wall. With renewed urgency, Elias and Clara worked together, their movements synchronized. While Elias held off the remaining operatives, Clara, guided by Dr. Thorne's frantic instructions, accessed the hidden broadcast system. Her fingers flew across the console, overriding firewalls, bypassing security protocols. A global network, unwittingly, became their amplifier. Suddenly, the massive screens within the facility, previously displaying schematics and surveillance feeds, flickered to life, showing not their internal systems, but a live, global feed. Dr. Eris Thorne, his voice hoarse but clear, began to speak, his image broadcast to millions. For decades, he declared, the truth about Project Mogul, about what truly crashed in Roswell, has been suppressed. He then activated a sequence and raw data, visual evidence of extraterrestrial technology, and damning logs detailing the watcher's activities flooded the screens. The world watched in stunned disbelief as the meticulously constructed narrative of decades crumbled before their eyes. Director Thorne's face contorted in a mixture of fury and shock. His meticulously crafted operation was compromised, his control shattered beyond repair. The exposure of the watchers sent shockwaves across the globe. Investigations were launched, arrests were made, and the clandestine organization was systematically dismantled. Elias, though facing intense scrutiny for his past involvement, found a profound measure of peace. His confession, his willingness to expose his own complicity, paved the way for his redemption. His relationship with Clara, forged anew in the crucible of truth, was fully mended, built on mutual respect and shared sacrifice. The world grappled with the implications of the revealed truth. Global debates raged, scientific inquiries soared, and humanity faced an existential question about its place in the cosmos. In the quiet solitude of his ranch, Elias stood beside Clara, gazing at the vast New Mexico sky. The stars, once distant pinpricks of light, now held a different, profound meaning. While one monumental truth had been revealed, they both understood that many more mysteries about the universe remained, hinting at a vast, unknown future stretching out before them. The journey had been arduous, but Elias had found his truth, and in doing so, had found his way back to himself and to his daughter.